Hi guys, this is Chris from Bretby Bros. Today we're going to talk about coffee grounds. We get about 30 litres of these from the local cafe, which is about 30-second walk, 1 minute walk from my house. And I'm going to talk about how you can use them in compost, spread them about plants. And we're going to look at an experiment I've done with sweet corn, which is not a big advertisement for coffee grounds, but that's because some plants like it and some plants don't. So let's carry on up the garden and take a look. Okay, here we are at one of our compost bins. It's a black plastic Dalek type compost bin, which we had all the garden material. We've got sawdust from a friend who gets it from his workplace and one of our big additions is coffee grounds. That's what we get, 20 or 30 litres a week. Just take a look. The temperature in here at the minute is, it's hard to see on the camera, it is around 55 degrees. It's been hotter, it's been up to 65 or so, the middle of that red bar. So anything above 55 will kill weed seeds, which is not an issue for us because we generally don't add weed seeds to the compost, because we pick weeds before they go to seed in the garden. So I mean, there's less than a litre of coffee grounds there. Let's say you to add some cardboard, bit of grass clippings or some leaves from your broccoli, things like that. You know, sprinkle over a litre or two of coffee grounds. That's going to add a lot to the nitrogen level of your compost bin. It's going to increase activity in your compost bin, increase heat, and quicken the breakdown of the other materials in there, and add to the mass, obviously, for when you come to spread it out in the next few months. What I'd like to show you, not the onions, but we can talk about that another time, is these sweet corn. You see this huge one, and you see those, right? Before I planted these sweet corn, I had a potato in here, Charlotte potato, and instead of earthing up the soil around the potato tubers, I decided, obviously in hindsight wrongly, that I should earth them up with coffee grounds as I was getting so much. So I earthed them up about 1 to 2 inch around each plant, all the way over the soil. When I pulled the potato plants out of the ground, I then planted the sweet corn. They've literally grown in the last month a few inches. So this didn't have any coffee grounds around it. This is how they should be. And there's some more over here which didn't have a coffee grounds, which are decent size. It's now July the 31st. So yeah, not always the best. But then we walk around to our greenhouses. Go on kids, move. These tomato plants, these all had a decent dose of coffee grounds not long after I planted them. And as you can see, we've already picked loads of red ones. Bearing in mind it's end of July, and these are all beefsteak type or moneymaker, Ailsa Craig, you know, your bigger tomatoes rather than your cherries, which generally crop earlier, which we've got in the other greenhouse. But these have done really well. So you have to be, I think you have to be a bit careful with putting the coffee grounds down as a mulch. I mean, with the tomatoes and what have you, we did quite a thin layer. So I mean, with 2 inches or so around the sweet corn, that was too much. And as obviously as we pulled the potatoes up, they all got mixed in underneath the soil. So my theory is that they're rotting away under the soil around the root zone, which is, burn the roots, let's say, and cause that difference in growth. But I've sprinkled it around the greenhouses, and I've sprinkled it around some of these other crops sparingly, and they've seemed to have done really well. So what I say, if you're using coffee grounds, ideally compost it, but if you've got too much, then sprinkle a little bit around the plants, but not too much. This is our other compost bin. This was full up like a month ago, and now it's what, half full. Some coffee grounds on top, loads of the using quite a bit of the sawdust I get from my friend's workplace, and that's a really good, with the leaves and everything else that we had, and grass clippings, and cardboard, it's a really good mixture. Don't have any problem with compost. The main thing is just add a variety of materials and make sure it doesn't get too wet. You're better to be too dry than too wet. Again, this had a sprinkling of coffee grounds, when the plants were small, and as you can see, no problems with those. We've again picked a lot of tomatoes already from here, so yeah, coffee grounds are good. Just be careful, don't use them too much when they're fresh around plants, from what I've experienced, and you're better to compost them. But if and also don't be worried about asking people for them. So I was a bit nervous going asking our local cafe for coffee grounds, but they were more than happy to give me. So yeah, if you're worried about that, don't, just go and ask them. Buy a cup of coffee if you're worried, then you've gave them something, and they're happy to get rid of it, because in most cases they have to pay a waste disposal company, and they usually pay by the weight or the volume, so you're doing them a favour. They fill up the bins less quickly, or they pay for less weight. So yeah, thanks for watching.